All right, let's talk about something that could genuinely shake up the entire AI industry. We're breaking down a new kind of AI that basically teaches itself, no human help required. This is a big one.
So, I want you to think about this for a second. What if an AI could get smarter with absolutely zero training data? I mean, what if it didn't need us humans to spoon feed it information? It just teaches itself from the ground up. Sounds like sci-fi, right? Well, it's not. This is the big idea behind a brand new framework called Dr. Zero.
Now, to really get why this is such a game changer, we have to talk about a huge headache that pretty much everyone in the AI world is dealing with right now.
Okay, so modern AI, it has a massive appetite. I mean, it's constantly hungry for data. And not just any data. It needs these enormous, high-quality data sets that humans have to carefully curate and label. From a business angle, you know what that means, right? It means a ton of money and a ton of time just to get these things trained.
And this whole dependency on data, it's created what you might call the AI training wall. It's this massive bottleneck that makes building the next generation of AI super expensive and painfully slow. Honestly, as we try to make these models even smarter, this data problem is becoming a really serious roadblock. It's just not sustainable. So, how do we get past that wall? Well, the brilliant folks behind Dr. Zero have an idea. They're saying, why bother climbing it at all? Let's just go around it completely with an AI that learns in a totally different way. And that brings us to Dr. Zero. At its core, it's a framework that lets an AI boost its own reasoning and search skills without any human-provided training data. The secret is that it learns how to find its own answers using things like search engines. And then, this is the crucial part, it learns how to actually think about what it finds. The whole idea here is something called data-free self-evolution. It's a fancy term, but the concept is pretty simple. Instead of learning from some static data set we give it, the AI literally creates its own school. It comes up with its own problems, tries to solve them, learns from what worked and what didn't, and then just keeps repeating that cycle, making the problems harder and harder each time. Okay, so how does this self-teaching thing actually work under the hood? It's actually a really clever feedback loop between two parts of the AI. The best way to think about it is like a teacher and a student. But here's the twist. They're both the same AI, just wearing different hats. You've got the proposer, that's the teacher, who dreams up a new complex question. Then you have the solver, the student, who tries to answer it by hitting up a search engine. And then, based on whether the solver succeeds or fails, both of them learn and get smarter. The cycle just keeps going, with the questions getting tougher each round. And you can see how this works, right? This loop creates this perfectly automated, self-improving curriculum. It just gets more and more advanced, constantly pushing the AI to get better and better all on its own. Here's another way to look at it, especially if you're a gamer. Picture the AI as a level 1 character in a video game. It's got some basic skills, but that's about it. It's just starting out. Now, as it goes through that proposer-solver loop, it's basically sending itself on quests. It's tackling harder and harder problems that it comes up with on its own. And with every quest it completes, it's gaining XP. It's learning. And what happens when you get enough XP? You level up. And that's exactly what the AI does. It becomes this way more capable, high-level agent with seriously impressive reasoning and search abilities. And the coolest part? No human game master was ever needed. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This whole self-teaching loop sounds incredibly expensive, like it would just burn through computer resources. And it could have been. But the researchers came up with a really smart trick to make the whole thing way more efficient. The secret sauce is a little something called HPRO. And to put it simply, instead of the AI learning from just one question at a time, which is slow, it gets clever. It groups a bunch of similar questions together. This lets it learn the patterns behind the questions much, much faster. It's a huge deal because it cuts down on wasted effort and makes this whole idea actually practical. So this is all really cool tech, for sure. But what's the bottom line? What does this actually mean for businesses? For how we develop AI in the real world? Let's talk about the business payoff. The advantages here are pretty massive. First and foremost, you can drastically reduce your need for that expensive human-labeled data. That's a huge cost right there. Second, and this is critical, it seems to achieve performance that's just as good as the old methods. And third, this opens up a path to a much more efficient and scalable way to build powerful AI. And look, the numbers really tell the story here. This is what makes it a potential game changer. What you're seeing is a comparison between Dr. Zero and a traditionally trained AI. And look at the performance. They are neck and neck, almost identical. But the killer detail is that middle column. The traditional agent needed human training data. Dr. Zero needed none. It got the same result for what you can imagine as a fraction of the cost and effort. Even the researchers themselves put it perfectly. They say their data-free agents can match or even beat the fully supervised ones, and that this really challenges the whole idea that you need human supervision. Think about that. This could totally flip the economics of AI development on its head. So the big takeaway is this. We're looking at a totally new way to train AI. One that's more independent, way more efficient, and can scale up like crazy. And that really leaves us with a pretty mind-bending question to chew on, right? If an AI can teach itself to reason, what other challenges, maybe even ones we think are unsolvable, will it teach itself to solve next?